Hello everyone, I am PyroFalkon and this is Monster Rancher 4. In the last episode, Karn tasked us to go back to the Kalaragi jungle to look for a couple investigating teams that have gone missing. So that is what we are doing. And I'm answering AMA questions while I'm doing this. Next question, or this question, first question of the episode. Ooh, that whole thing was smooth. Comes to us from MadDog187, who asks, do I ever think we will see an Ogre Battle set get a new entry or even a full remake? I don't think so. I would love that, though. I love Ogre Battle. I've done runs of Ogre Battle 1 and Ogre Battle 64. I'm still within the first minute of the video, so I can't put an info card, but I'll try to remember at some point to put them in the episode. But I love Ogre Battle. They're very good games. Actually, this question from Mad Dog reminded me I never 100% finished Ogre Battle 1. There's still one map I didn't do, so I should probably go back and finish that up. But anyway, it's a brilliant series. It's phenomenal, and at least the RTS ones. I never played Tactics Ogre Let Us Cling Together, which is a turn-based tactical RPG similar to Final Fantasy Tactics, which is not a coincidence because Yasumi Matsuno did both Ogre Battle and Final Fantasy Tactics. So that's why I'm especially intrigued in playing some Tactics Ogre at some point. I just don't know when I'll get to it, but it's on my list. I don't think we'll see it because it's kind of a cult game, sort of like Monster Rancher, that it doesn't have a massive audience. I didn't look up the sales numbers, although I believe on Wikipedia they are available. If I remember, I'll take a screenshot and put them here. And so it wouldn't be financially viable to do. I think the audience for Ogre Battle is even smaller than it is for Monster Rancher. And you can't really nickel and dime it, so it wouldn't work in today's DLC-laden economy, which is fine, because I would rather it not exist than be full of DLC. It is a game that definitely screams for a mouse. I think it would do really well on the PC. It could even be a PC exclusive. I don't think it needs to be on the consoles, especially with the prevalence of Steam. And unless it has, like, super mega ultra amazing graphics, which it wouldn't need, it could be a fairly low production kind of title and would still get a lot of people interested if it was well crafted. The thing with the game, though, is Matsuno intentionally made the game to be based on real-life wars. I can't remember which war the first one was inspired by. I'm trying to remember. I want to say it was a war in Albania, but I'd have to look. And Final Fantasy Tactics was the same way. That was inspired by a different real-life war. So he gets his inspiration from those games and those events, and he had a lot to say about them, which is fine. That's why both series, Final Fantasy Tactics, the original, and Ogre Battle, are very class-based. And I don't mean in terms of game mechanics. I mean the story is very ruling class versus working class. And it's because he is inspired by those events. I think it would do fine. Mechanically, you always can do either an RTS or a tactical RPG and it'll sell. But he clearly wants to make art. Like, Yasumi Matsuno doesn't want to just poop out a commercial guarantee game and call it a day. He wants to make something good. He wants to make a product that has a statement to make. And I don't know, especially if we haven't had any in, like, decades, if he wants to do that anymore. He has been a part of a number of other projects, but right now the Ogre Battle franchise is owned by Square Enix, and they have no interest in reviving that one. They're too busy with Final Fantasy and some of their DLC-laden projects. And Matsuno, I believe his current company is independent, but he has been tapped by Square before. For example, he was asked to make a raid in Final Fantasy XIV that continues the story of Final Fantasy Tactics, which is good. I mean, they wanted the original writer to get back there and kind of add an epilogue and make an interesting event for MMO players rather than Square just giving it to Yoshi P and making a different designer, however brilliant he may be, take over a different writer's characters and universe and try to make something of it. So, good for Square, I guess, but because Yasumi Matsuda was not officially part of Square on a full-time basis, I don't know if they'd make it. I can't, because that would be a lot of things that would have to come together in order to make that game, that you don't have the original designer right now, or the original writer, same guy. You don't have a game that's a guaranteed hit. You don't have a genre that's a guaranteed hit. You don't have a game franchise that's super beloved, even though it's a cult status, it doesn't have the numbers. And you're in a company that you've already got other irons in the fire, so why bother making Ogre Battle, you know? And again, that's not me trying to say it's not worth it. I would play the shit out of a new Ogre Battle, but from a business perspective, it's just not worth it. You know, I don't know. I would almost... I mean, in a magical dream world, Square Enix can give the Ogre Battle franchise back to Matsuno himself, and then he can make one on his own with his company that is free and independent. That'd be cool. Do I think we'll ever get a remake? Maybe. But even then, I'm not sure it would be worth it. I don't know if enough people would buy it. I would love to know how many people bought Ogre Battle on the Virtual Console, but I do know, like, people hated Ogre Battle 64. They didn't like the changes. A lot of people didn't like the changes. I thought they were brilliant. Ogre Battle 64 is just not as beloved as Ogre Battle Classic, and Ogre Battle Classic has already had a remake. The original was on the Super NES, and then it got a PlayStation release. And the PlayStation release could easily be then transferred over to the PSN, so you could play a virtual version of it, and then they wouldn't have to do anything with it. So, I don't think we'll see another one. If it happens, I'm damn sure I'm going to do it for the channel. But, yeah, unfortunately. So, I think that franchise is gone, but it was brilliant, and of course we still have virtual versions, whether on the virtual shops through Nintendo or emulators to relive it. So, yeah, at least the game is not dead, but I don't think it's coming back. I don't think there will be a new one, unfortunately. Okay, next one. This one from Kalo Shade. Have I ever been approached by a company for a sponsorship? No, I have not. I have been approached by a couple MCNs. That was when I first crossed the 1,000 subscriber mark. MCNs do not do for you what they promise. They are pretty much scams. Don't ever sign up for an MCN. But I've never had anybody offer me sponsorship. I would love to, but I think I'm too small time. I don't know if I ever will have it. You know, I'm realistic about my chances on YouTube. The chance of blowing up on YouTube is very small. And although when I'm in a bad mood, I piss and moan and insult myself about it, even when I'm feeling optimistic, I don't ever want to think that I'm like 5 seconds away from being Markiplier. In fact, I don't think I'll ever get near his numbers. I don't think I'll get near Game Grumps' numbers. I don't know if I'll ever get near 1 million. I may not even get near 100,000. I don't know. But I do know that companies understand the power of subscriber counts and view counts, and all you have to do is take one glance at my channel, and you'll know that it's not worth paying me any amount of money. Which, again, it's business. I have a very small reach. Even these Monster Rancher episodes, which are my best viewed videos, get maybe 100 views in the first day, maybe, and that's it. And I mean, I appreciate it. I love all of you, but again, from a business perspective, that's not enough people to to justify paying a YouTuber any sponsorship money, especially because you know that if you advertise, only maybe 1% of the people you're advertising to will buy your product, you know? So, so let's say that. Let's say that 1% of everybody who watches my videos is going to buy what is advertised, which is still, I think, very high, 1%. That would mean, on average, per Monster Rancher episode, one person is going to buy a product from them. So they would want to make the advertising profitable. So, you know, if you're going to pay me even $100 to shill your product, that means that your product would have to cost more than $100 before it's profitable. So I don't find it... I don't think it'll happen. If I blow up, sure. But my other thing is, I do want to make... My thing with the channel is that I've always wanted to make it as unannoying as possible for all of you to watch. And part of that is, if I ever do any sponsorship, I want to make sure it's something I actually use. Because there's, you know, the big joke is Raid. Raid Shadow Legends or Raycon. I don't use those products, and I'm not going to lie to you and hype it. It's not worth it. Unless the money is some obnoxiously life-changing amount of money, I'm not even sure I'd do it then. Because even then, like, it wouldn't be that high, because again, I don't have the audience to justify it. No one's going to pay me $100,000 or $10,000 or even $1,000 to advertise on YouTube. I don't have that kind of reach. So I can't imagine that I would ever be in a situation where it would happen. But even if it does, I don't want to shill a product to you guys that I don't use. I mean, I'll sell out for Pepsi or Taco Bell any day of the week because I freaking love those products. I'm drinking a Pepsi now. Hashtag not sponsored. I just love Pepsi. But, you know, I'm not going to shill for Raycon. I've got nothing against Raycon. Their products are probably okay. But I don't use Raycon, so... You know, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think it'll ever happen. Which is another reason why your donations are so important. What with the PayPal and such. PayPal, Patreon, in the video description. There we go. Especially as we get closer to Christmas and you're feeling more generous. Okay, next. Silent Hawk has a very interesting question for me that I have intentionally not tried to think about, so this might be weird. Because I'm going to just try to ad-lib it. But he asks, what is the worst experience I've ever had in a video game? I'm curious about the full context of that question, because it has several different interpretations. That could mean, what is the worst game I've ever played? And I would have to think about that for a hot minute. You know, what's the worst graphics? What's the worst emotional experience? What's the worst story? Like, there are a lot of different ways that could go. I generally don't... I'm trying to think if there's been any, like, complete overall this is a piece of trash moment for me in video games. But I don't think there is, because I don't rage, and I don't get angry, and I don't tolerate games that I don't like, which makes it sound like I'm an elitist prick, but it's not that. It's that I just don't want to waste my time. So, for example, one of the biggest wastes of money... Two of the biggest wastes of money are Arma 3 and Bloodborne, because both games I bought... Well, one of them... Actually, Arma was technically worse because it was bought for me as a present, so I felt guilty. Arma is a military shooter. I thought I would love it, and I wound up getting very bored, and it was extremely difficult, and I had no interest in continuing, and I felt really bad to the Akamura because she's the one who bought it for me. And Bloodborne, I bought myself. I bought it after watching the Game Grumps play it. I knew what it was going into it, and I didn't think I would like any Soulsborne games. But I'm like, well, the Game Grumps are making this look fun. Let's give it a shot. And I tried it, and it was not fun for me. And again, it's not, you know, I think the game is technically fine. I thought Arma 3 was technically fine. But your technical ability is still trumped by subjective stuff like what you're interested in and such. And you know, I just didn't like either game. And for that, I feel bad because it's that same stuff I've talked about in many other episodes of many other series I've done where I feel actual guilt when I'm out of step of the majority. And with Bloodborne, I was like, man, I should be liking this game. Everybody loves it, and it's this challenge. And is that progression? I don't think it's progression. It's challenge, and it's brilliant, and everyone thinks it's greatly designed, and get good, and real gamers. And it just... So I felt guilty about not liking it, but I don't like it. And I'm not the type of gamer who just wants games fed to them, but there's just something about Bloodborne's difficulty level in addition to its very dirty, grungy environment, which, again, makes total sense in context, and it's really, really well crafted and well done. I just don't like it. I just don't. So... Oh, no. You know what? I know the worst experience I ever had in a video game. It just clicked. I know exactly which one, and I thankfully had video evidence of it. I don't have video evidence of it anymore. The worst experience I've ever had in a video game was doing the strategy guide for Lego DC Superheroes. It was fucking murder on me, because it was everything I don't like about video games in one package, and I had to do it. And that was the thing. I streamed it, and streaming it was literally the only thing that got me through it, because by sharing the pain, I guess, and being able to vent my frustration with it, that helped me get through it. I had to do it for an IGN strategy guide, and there were over 800 collectibles, and they needed multiple screenshots of every collectible in the game. I hate collectibles. The game is too easy because it's made for children, so it wasn't all that fun to play. The mechanics weren't very good. I couldn't have multiplayer on it. I had to have the recording... I had to have OBS constantly recording it so I could get screenshots. And every time I got a collectible, I had to stop dead and then go to my word processor and type. And the typing took longer than the actual collection. So there was a lot of times where I would play for literally about 1.5 to 2 minutes, and then I would do about 3 to 4 minutes of typing, and then do another 1.5 of playing, and then 4 minutes of typing. When I did that game, I made sure to tell everybody up front, like, look, if you want to be part of this, I need, please help me with my sanity, but this is going to be one of the most boring things you're ever going to see on Twitch. And it was, because I fucking hated it. I hated every second of it, and I chatted. The only good part was chatting with you all and being able to do AMA-style questions and answers and things. And otherwise just, again, sharing the pain. But man, it was bad. The only saving grace of that was that particular game has a collectible finder, so I didn't have to do too much work. It was just all time-consuming and boringness, because I don't like collectibles. I don't like achievements. I don't like... I mean, collectibles that make you stronger in the game or have some sort of, plot connotation or something, that's fine. That makes all the sense in the world. But when you're just doing it to do it, and you don't get anything out of it other than fucking concept art or something, no. I hate it. I find it really boring. I play video games for the story and for the mechanics of the gameplay. Not always in equal measure, and certainly not in equal measure depending on what game we're talking about. Like, Monster Rancher 4 storyline is whatever, but I play Monster Rancher for the mechanics. And the gameplay loop. But, like, fucking DC Superheroes Lego was so awful. It is everything I don't like about games, other than the DLC. It is technically a fine product. Again, it did what it needed to do. But it wasn't for me. It is the opposite of everything I enjoy. And adding collectibles on top of it, and the fact I wasn't allowed to stop. Because with Arma and... Bloodborne, I just stopped. I was like, nope, this isn't for me. And I stopped. I fucking played something else that I enjoyed. And then I was happy. And I wasn't hurting anybody else. Because you know me, I'm also not the type to go online and just bitch and moan about a game for 40 minutes and be like, I didn't like it, therefore you shouldn't like it either. No, that's not true. There are plenty of people who love, I'm sure they love DC heroes, Lego DC superheroes, and that's fine. To be fair, it is more IGN than it is the Lego game, because if I was doing that for myself, I would have just stopped after beating the story. I'd be like, okay, that was fun. I enjoyed the mechanics, and I enjoyed the story, and now it's time to stop because I don't want to do collectibles. But that was a horrible experience because not only was it 100% for the paycheck, and therefore I could not stop, but also it was extremely boring, and it felt like a waste of my time. It really did. But I got paid, so, you know, it is what it is. I mean, you know, all jobs are like that. And I know that going in. Like, video game strategy guide writing is like that. You are going to have assignments that you're just not going to like. And that was one of them. You know, but that was my worst experience. But I am now over 20 minutes, so that's going to do it for today. I think floor 7 is the bottom one, or top one, whatever. We're on the final floor, I believe, so there's going to be just a little bit more left. I'll see if I can sneak in another AMA question in the next episode before we get to the boss, but we will see. Good. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will... Oh, shit, he's a C-class. No wonder I'm having a little trouble against him. And I will see you again tomorrow for another episode. Come on, Eva, finish him off.